Maha Yahya. She is a director at the Carnegie Middle East Center. She joins us now live. Thanks so much for being with us. Lebanon wanted closure with this verdict. Did they get it?
To some extent, I think. For many people, the verdict is really justice delayed, justice denied. The sense that only 1 out of 4 was found guilty is problematic. But I think that there is a sense, at least for those who are advocating for the special tribunal, to accept the verdict, to trust in the process. There were lots of question marks around the investigation in the past, but there's not much that can be done. My concern is that moving forward, especially in light of people demanding an international investigation into the explosion at the port in Beirut 2 weeks ago, this is going to be a sore point. If after waiting for 15 years, we end up with a verdict like this, where the likelihood of someone being held accountable is quite limited, to put it politely. So it's very unlikely. Then, what is the point of doing So I think this sense of accountability is incredibly important for the Lebanese, particularly at this moment in time, after this horrific port explosion.
Absolutely.
That affected almost half the city.
Let me ask you, though, what was also somewhat remarkable about this verdict today is that, it really did contradict. We'll remember the Melis report back in 2005, how fundamental that was to this case and to the investigation. It was ordered by the United Nations, and it said that high-ranking members of the Syrian and the Lebanese governments were actually responsible for this assassination. Those judges today, though, said there was no proof linking any of those leaders to this crime. So how did this court, this actual court, find one thing, while the Melis report, after so much investigation, concluded something completely contrary?
Well, the Melis report was only for 1 year, and if you remember, came after a year. If you recall, Melis was pulled off the job citing security concerns, and then Brammertz was replaced with Brammertz, who it turned out it's okay for him to stay in Lebanon. And Brammertz, to be honest, basically slept on the investigation for almost 2 years. The major breakthrough, upon which the entire case was built, if you listen to the verdict today, was the telecommunication data. This telecommunication data was cracked by a young ISF officer, Wissam Eid, who ended up paying for this with his own life. He cracked it using nothing more than raw data and Excel sheets. It took Brammertz another year to actually take this material and try and do something with it. So I think the problem was not with the initial Melis investigation, but what happened afterwards, and this hiatus and kind of the slow momentum of the investigation and the way it was being handled after Melis.
Right.
It may have been that his findings would have panned out, or it may have been that they were, he may not have been able to. We don't know, and we will never know at this point. And don't forget also, by the time Melis came on the scene, even the court today talked about the extent to which the crime scene had been messed with. The cars were removed, people around access, the area was, there was no real cordoning off of the area. There was a lot of fudging around with the crime scene that made it even more difficult for forensic scientists to try and build the case in the way that it could have been built had the scene been protected properly.
15 years, 1 conviction, and still so many questions, really. Maha, we're going to have to leave it there, unfortunately. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.